Throughout history, humans have invented horrifying ways to punish each other. Some of these torture methods were so brutal that victims suffered for days before finally dying. From medieval execution devices to psychological torment, these punishments reveal the darkest side of human civilization. Today, we are counting down the 10 most terrifying torture methods ever recorded in history. The iron cradle was a terrifying torture device used during the Middle Ages. Victims were suspended inside a metal frame lined with sharp spikes. Their hands and feet were chained tightly, forcing the body into painful positions for hours at a time. Even the slightest movement caused the spikes to pierce deeper into their flesh. Guards would sometimes swing the cradle back and forth to increase the pain and disorientation. Many victims survived for days while suffering from blood loss, infection, and broken bones. The burning coffin was essentially a giant metal box placed under the scorching sun. Prisoners were locked inside with almost no air to breathe. As temperatures rose, the metal walls became unbearably hot, slowly turning the coffin into a giant oven. Victims suffered dehydration, suffocation, and extreme panic. Some guards even poured boiling salt water inside to make the agony even worse. Many prisoners remained conscious until the very end. The breaking wheel became one of the most feared public executions in medieval Europe. Victims were tied to a massive wooden wheel, while executioners smashed their bones using heavy iron hammers. Arms, legs, ribs, and joints were shattered one by one. Afterward, the broken body was woven between the wheel's spokes and displayed publicly for days. Some victims stayed alive long enough to die slowly from exposure and infection. In freezing northern regions, prisoners were stripped naked and lowered into pits filled with icy water. Only their heads remained above the surface, while the freezing temperatures slowly shut down their bodies. Victims experienced violent shaking, numbness, muscle spasms, and eventually hallucinations. Guards often pulled them out moments before unconsciousness, only to force them back into the freezing water again. The hanging cage was designed to maximize suffering over long periods of time. Victims were locked inside tiny iron cages, suspended high above public squares. The cages were too small to stand or lie down comfortably. During the day, prisoners baked under the scorching sun. At night, freezing winds tore through the metal bars. Most victims died slowly from dehydration, starvation, or exhaustion. The hook chair looked simple, but it caused unimaginable pain. Hundreds of sharp metal hooks covered the entire surface of the chair. Victims were strapped down tightly, so every movement forced the hooks deeper into their flesh. Some executioners placed burning coals beneath the chair, heating the metal until the wounds began to burn. Unlike physical torture, the sleepless room attacked the human mind. Prisoners were trapped inside brightly lit rooms, filled with loud noises 24 hours a day. Every time a victim began to fall asleep, guards would wake them instantly. After several days without rest, hallucinations began. Victims heard voices, saw terrifying visions, and eventually lost their grip on reality completely. The spike barrel was a giant wooden container, lined with metal spikes inside. Victims were locked inside while guards rolled the barrel downhill or violently shook it. The spikes pierced the body repeatedly, but were carefully positioned to avoid immediate death. Victims usually died slowly from blood loss or infection after hours of agony. This brutal punishment involved hanging victims by their arms, while heavy weights were attached to their legs. Over time, the shoulders dislocated and muscles tore apart under the pressure. Guards often revived unconscious prisoners with cold water just to continue the torture longer. Survivors were usually left permanently disabled, The fire chains were among the cruelest punishments ever created. Metal chains were heated until they glowed red hot, then wrapped tightly around the victim's body. The burning metal seared flesh instantly, while executioners tightened the chains even further. Victims often died from shock, severe burns, or infection after enduring unbearable pain. These horrifying torture methods remind us just how cruel human history could be. While many of these punishments belong to the past, they continue to fascinate people because they reveal the darkest corners of civilization. Which torture method do you think was the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more dark historical mysteries.